We have made it clear, and we told the Russians directly again today, that if Russia further invades Ukraine, there will be significant costs and consequences.
The gulf between the United States and Russia appeared as stark as ever Wednesday following a 4-hour NATO meeting in Brussels, where U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman reiterated a warning to Russia over its massing of troops near Ukraine and wondered why the nuclear-armed nation claimed it felt threatened by its much smaller neighbor.
They are a powerful country. The fact that they feel threatened by Ukraine, a smaller and still developing democracy, is hard to understand, quite frankly. Why they need 100,000 troops on the border, which they say are not for invasion, but are for exercising. When live fire exercises are reported this morning, what is this about? Is this about invasion? Is this about intimidation? Is this about trying to be subversive? I don't know. But it is not conducive to getting to diplomatic solutions.
NATO said it was willing to talk to Russia about arms control and missile deployments to avert the risk of war in Europe, but would not allow Moscow to veto Ukraine's ambition to join NATO one day. At a lengthy news conference, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Krushko said Russia could not take seriously NATO's claim to be a defensive alliance that posed no threat to Russia.
We
have honestly, explicitly, and without trying to cut corners using the politically correct forms, pointed out that further deterioration in ties could lead to unpredictable and severe consequences for European security. Russia disagrees with such a scenario.
Afterward, Krushko said Moscow would use military means to neutralize security threats if diplomacy proved insufficient. The talks were set to continue on Thursday in Vienna.
12 months ago, a newly inaugurated President Biden stood on the west front of the Capitol, and here's what he had to say. My whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, and uniting our nation. Yesterday, that very same man delivered a deliberately divisive speech that was designed to pull our country further apart. He compared, listen to this, a bipartisan majority of senators to literal traitors. How profoundly unpresidential. Look, I've known, liked, and personally respected Joe Biden for many years. I did not recognize the man at the podium yesterday. The president's rant yesterday was incoherent, incorrect, and beneath his office.
In a legal setback for Britain's Prince Andrew, a Manhattan judge rejected the prince's bid to dismiss a lawsuit accusing him of sexually abusing a 17-year-old girl roughly 2 decades ago. In a decision made public on Wednesday, the judge said that Virginia Giuffre could pursue her civil suit against Andrew, in which she claims he battered her and intentionally caused her emotional distress while she was allegedly being trafficked for sexual purposes by late financier Jeffrey Epstein. The judge said it was premature to assess Andrew's efforts to cast doubt on her claims, though the 61-year-old prince could do so at a trial. In 2009, Epstein paid Giuffre $500,000 without admitting liability to end a separate lawsuit charging him of sexually abusing her while underage. The judge in Andrew's case said it was too soon to decide whether that settlement with Epstein clearly and unambiguously shielded Andrew from also being sued by Giuffre. The judge did not address the merits of Giuffre's claims. Lawyers for Andrew and Giuffre did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Andrew, the second son of Queen Elizabeth, has denied Giuffre's accusations that he forced her to have sex more than 2 decades ago at a London home of former Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell and abused her at 2 Epstein properties. Maxwell was convicted on December 29th of recruiting and grooming girls for Epstein to abuse between 1994 and 2004. While the claims against Andrew have not been proven and the prince is not accused of criminal wrongdoing, his ties to Epstein have damaged his reputation and cost him many royal duties. The judge's decision to keep Giuffre's case against Andrew on track means that a trial could begin in the fall if no settlement is reached beforehand.
The biggest jump in consumer inflation in decades didn't scare investors. Stocks rose Wednesday after that price data turned out to be not as hot as some on Wall Street had feared. Gerber Kawasaki founding partner Hatem Diab.
I think it actually was better than feared. I think everyone expected worse, and we got relatively in line or better numbers. And I think that it's funny how markets work.
A retreat in bond yields helped big cap tech stocks extend their rebound this week, but cyclical stocks also rallied. The Dow rose a modest 38 points. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq added about 0.25%. Healthcare stocks were the biggest drag on the S&P. Biogen shares dropped almost 7% after the U.S. government's Medicare program said it will limit access to its Alzheimer treatment, Aduhelm, to patients who are enrolled in a clinical trial. Shares of Eli Lilly also fell because it is developing similar drugs. It'll be remote first for workers at Robinhood Markets. The online trading platform plans to move a majority of its employees to remote work on a permanent basis. That announcement failed to lift its beleaguered shares.
With the aim of keeping schools open as the Omicron variant spreads rapidly across the country, the Biden administration on Wednesday announced it will send U.S. schools millions more COVID-19 tests. White House COVID-19 response coordinator Jeffrey Zients.
So today we're taking additional actions, including sending 5 million free rapid tests to schools each month, and providing another 5 million lab-based tests each month.
The new measures are on top of $10 billion in resources already sent to states for testing in schools, which the White House says have resulted in 96% of schools being open this month, which now includes Chicago public schools. Students in Chicago returned to in-person classes Wednesday after teachers reached an agreement on COVID safeguards, including wider testing.
My kids are vaccinated, so, do everything that we can do to be safe, and it's good to have them back, not only for just learning, but for social too.
The Biden administration's Test to Stay strategy aims to allow schools to use frequent testing to keep students in class after exposure to someone with COVID-19 instead of quarantining at home. That strategy, according to the CDC, as well as vaccination, masking, and ventilation, will help keep school doors open and kids in class.